السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. It's my honor and pleasure to be a part of organizing today's events, activities, to help us all better understand the status of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to help us better understand Khatamun Nabiyyin, what that means, how to understand it, what its real and true value is. And when I was given the task, I began to realize that the true inheritance, the real purpose of what an Ahmadi is, what his inheritance is, what he should receive from, for me it would be my great-grandfather coming on through, is Hubbe Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, love of the Holy Prophet, Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And to understand that is to understand how Hazrat Masih Maud achieved Nabuwwat, achieved his grand status. And one thing to even start, and from the ayat that were recited before from verse 32, it says, say, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to mankind, if you really love Allah, then follow me, accept Islam, accept Islamic monotheism. Allah will love you and forgive you of your sins, and Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. And then we have the hadith. Anas radiallahu anhu narrates that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, none of you will have faith till he loves me more than his father, his children, and all mankind. It's a very powerful statement, and it's sort of difficult to understand. And one of the things that I think is tough for maybe many even Christians to understand at times, people make fun of Jesus or do other things along those lines, and it's not as much of a concern, because they consider him maybe to be God, and Allah Ta'ala is our maker. It's a different type of relationship. But Allah Ta'ala gave us this perfect example, a guiding light, of the creation for which all of the universe was made, for us to understand how to live life, and how to establish our relationship with Allah Ta'ala. So when we are told that there's something wrong with him, when he's insulted in some manner, it hurts, because it means there's something wrong with us, right? That's a big concern of ours. And so it's important to understand where we're coming from in all of that respect. So just some of the writings of the Masih Maud to understand that. As the Masih Maud says, but that light of high degree that was bestowed on the perfect many was not in angels, was not in stars, was not in the moon, was not in the sun, was not in the oceans and the rivers, was not in rubies, emeralds, sapphires, or pearls. In short, it was not in any earthly or heavenly object. It was only in the perfect man whose highest and loftiest and most perfect example was our Lord and Master, the chief of the prophets, the chief of all living ones, Muhammad, the chosen one, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Amazing writing. Amazing to understand the depth of the love of the Masih Maud. He says, have you any notion what was that strange event that occurred in the wasteland of Arabia, when hundreds of thousands of the dead were revived within a few days, and those who had been misguided through generations exhibited a divine complexion, and those who were blind began to see, and those who had been dumb, meaning they couldn't hear, began to utter words of divine wisdom, and the world underwent a revolution which no eye had seen before, and no ear had heard. Do you know how all of this came about? It was the supplications during the dark nights of one who had lost himself in God, which caused a revolution in the world and showed such wonders as could never have been expected from that unlettered and helpless one, the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Invoke thy blessings and peace, O Allah, on him and his people, according to the amount of pain and anguish he felt for his ummah, and pour down upon him the light of thy mercy forever. Ameen, this is from Blessings of Prayer. This is what we need to be understanding, what we need to be giving to our children and helping understand. Because if we have that perfect guidance, and we are genuinely in love with the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and have that ishq Rasool, Hubbe Rasool, and every action of ours will be reflective of that. You know, as a child, we know we don't want to disappoint our parents. But our parents have imperfections. There are moments where things come up, where we can take advantage. Right? We like to point it out. But we need to realize that there is a better example. We need to show our love for the Holy Prophet ﷺ. So our kids have that love for the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and then they realize who they truly are disappointing. And what was just stated is one of the great mannerisms, the ability for us to do that is Durood Sharif. The Masih in respect to Durood Sharif, describes, I recall that one night, I was so occupied with calling down blessings on the Holy Prophet ﷺ, that my heart and soul became fragrant therewith. I think it's important, I'm speaking the English here, but for those who can read the Urdu, I'm sure I'm doing a disservice. The writings of the Masih himself are just on a different level. The same night, I saw in my dream that people were carrying into my house water skins filled with divine light in the form of water. And one of them said, these are the blessings which you had sent to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from bringing in. In addition to his own example, the Prophet ﷺ would always encourage his followers to send salutations upon the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whenever someone would ask him for spiritual exercise, he would say, seek forgiveness from Allah, istighfar, and send salutations upon the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam abundantly. There is no greater spiritual exercise than this. At times he would say that the offering of the compulsory prayers or salat and Durood Sharif is the greatest spiritual exercise. On one occasion someone inquired, how much Durood Sharif should we recite? And the Prophet ﷺ responded, one should recite it until one's tongue becomes fully satiated. Fully satiated. Maybe that can never happen, because when you truly love something, can you ever be satiated by it? The significance of Durood Sharif can be understood that among the conditions of Ba'ath or initiation into the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, the third condition from among the 10 conditions, as set forth by the Masih Maud is to send abundant salutations upon the Holy Prophet ﷺ and remain consistent in doing so. In that repetition, in that reminder of sending blessings on the Holy Prophet ﷺ and us, his ummah, we continually develop love. When we sacrifice our time, when we sacrifice our words, anything, it develops love. And that's how we will truly understand and develop it within ourselves. You know, a few years ago I was attending the Qudam Ishtalah, and at the time Naib Amir Naseem Mehdi Sahib was giving a speech and talking about the significance and the power of Durood Sharif. And particularly for our Jamaat, the USA Jamaat, Hazrat al-Muslim was getting correspondence from Mufti Muhammad Sadiq Sahib, asking for money for different things, that we have to start this. And this is our USA Jamaat in the early 1920s, right? We're almost hitting our centenary. And he got a letter back. It would take, 3 months to get a letter, is my guess, something along those lines. And he got a letter back saying that, you know, we don't have the capacity to figure out this money stuff, so all you need is Durood Sharif. And just with Durood Sharif, Mufti Muhammad Sadiq established a Jamaat in the United States, established a mosque, and so many, in the thousands they say, converted. Things that we haven't been able to do since. That could be a reflection of our loss of maybe the level of love of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. Maybe. Allah knows best. But it's powerful. On another occasion, the Prophet ﷺ was sitting in a room, and there were other guests seated with the Prophet ﷺ as well. Someone knocked at the door, and one of the guests stood up to open the door. But the Prophet ﷺ quickly sprung up and said to that guest, wait, I will open the door myself. You are my guest, and the Holy Prophet ﷺ has said that a guest must be honored. That's what happens when you develop the love. You get worried about the little things. Your concern is that, oh no, the person that I love, the perfect example of mankind, said to do something this way, and I'm not doing it. And he gave honor to that person. You know, Sitting there is not a big deal. Someone opening the door, I'm sure he wouldn't have felt slighted. But he got up. This was the person who he came to see, and he got up and he showed them that respect. That develops love. This is what's going to bring peace to humanity, is us showing love to each other, care to each other, the type of care and love that the Holy Prophet ﷺ displayed. An incredible amount. During his entire life, the Prophet ﷺ very closely followed the model of the Holy Prophet ﷺ and would encourage his companions to do the same. It is mentioned in a narration that the Prophet ﷺ advised men should help their wives in doing the household chores. This is a good deed. The Holy Prophet ﷺ would help his wives in doing the household chores. Now, maybe I don't want to do the household chores. When I develop that love of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, I'll understand the value of it. And that love will generate more goodness. Because there's no fault to be found in that. Right? And it's in that community, in the sense of it repeating itself, that it will just amplify and amplify. I mean, this beautiful narration shows how the Prophet ﷺ possessed true heartfelt love for the Holy Prophet ﷺ. The thought of his master forever remained in his heart and mind. And he quoted the example of the Holy Prophet ﷺ whenever he did a good deed. As the Muslim says, it was impossible for me to attain this blessing if I were not one to follow the ways of my leader and master, the pride of the prophets, the best of creation, Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the chosen one, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. As such, whatever status I have attained through following him. Speaking of the innumerable divine blessings upon him, as Muslim states, whatever blessings of Allah there are upon us, these are all due to the grace of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. If we were to break apart from the Holy Prophet ﷺ, I truly say that we would equate to nothing, not even dust. Alhamdulillah. This is the lofty status of true love, devotion, and obedience to the Holy Prophet ﷺ, which the promised Messiah ﷺ was granted by Allah the Almighty. He achieved Masihut, Mahdiyut, and Nabuwwat because of it. The Muslim says, there is no messenger or intercessor for the whole of mankind except Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Endeavor therefore to develop true love for that awe-inspiring Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and do not give precedence to anyone over him, so that you may be written among those whom attain salvation in the heavens. Ishti Anu, the book Huzur had just asked us to read this past day. In the end, for me, it's not the end, it's the beginning of the event. May we benefit from it. May Allah help us understand the value of the Holy Prophet in all our actions, and truly develop the purpose of Muslim of coming, that we represent Islam in its proper manner, to spread love, to spread the truth, so that La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah is all throughout the world. I'll end with the couplet of Muslim. वो पेश राह हमारा जिससे है नूर सारा, नाम उसका है मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम, दिलबर मेरा यही है, उस नूर पर फिदा हूँ, उसका ही मैं हुआ हूँ, वो है मैं चीज़ क्या हूँ, बस फैसला यही है. Jazakumullah and welcome to the program.